So it's been a while since I showed you our water system. Got quite a few new subscribers, so I thought I'd show it again. So what we got here is a IBC tank that holds 275 gallons of water, and we have an RV pump down here. The RV pump is ran off a battery from our solar panels, and then the RV pump water into the house into an on-demand water heater. Now we fill the tank with our well. So our well runs off our solar panels, and the well is right here. This little tiny house here, building. And so the well has a 110 volt pump in it. And in the conversion, because the batteries are 12 volts, it uses about 45 amps to run that of 12 volt electric to run the well pump. So our solar panels can produce about 50 to 60 amps depending on the time of year and the sun and all that stuff. So currently we're having a lot of problem with shading because we live around so many trees, and since the sun is so far south now in the fall time, it's coming up on well, I guess daylight savings time is this weekend. Now I know people are going to complain about the power lines. I always hear about it. We're not hooked up to them. I've showed it a million times, but as soon as daylight savings time ends, or whatever that is, this coming weekend, we'll have a better time at charging the batteries, because the problem is we can't start filling the water until about 10 o'clock. And so with Carolyn doing laundry, she's doing laundry right now, that takes electricity, and with us running the well pump, we're exceeding the amount of electricity that we can make. So it starts to deplete the batteries, and then you got to recharge the batteries after I get this filled. Well, today she's doing 2 loads. So you may hear the generator running down there. I'm just using that as a supplement. It's an extra 25 amps. But this will all change as soon as the time changes. I won't have to run the generator anymore. And we won't have any problems for the rest of the winter. The other thing is I used to fill this every day. I don't do that anymore. I fill it about every 3rd day. But we've been so cloudy this last summer. I just got in the habit of just waiting for a sunny day. So, you know, you lose maybe 50 to 75 gallons before you fill it up, whereas when I was filling it every day, it was 10 gallons. Big difference. So I run it for about 15 minutes and then I shut it off, wait 30 minutes. With a regular well, you have a pressurized tank. I don't have a pressurized tank. This is our tank. So the well runs continuously. The well pump runs continuously. So the well pump can take out more water than the well can replace. So if I run it for too long, I end up running the well dry. So I really like this system. It's worked really well for us. We've not had any issues with it. And we can get down to -6 before any of the pipes start to freeze out here. Of course, people always have an idea on how to solve it, and it usually requires electricity. Well, at night, we have the limited amount of electricity because we're on batteries, so that's not an option for us. So we just fill up some buckets. The tank doesn't actually freeze. There's too much water in it. And so what I do is before we get really cold, I'll fill the tank up. So you got, what, 60-degree water coming out of that well, 58-degree water, something like that. So you're putting that into a tank that's, you know, down there towards the 30s. You're actually raising the temperature of the water. So it takes a long time for this to freeze. But the pipes for the RV pump do freeze. So what I do is I disconnect the hose, I pump the water out of the pump, then I can drain the hose coming into the house and nothing freezes. And as soon as we get through that cold spell, then I should be okay. Now, we recently hooked up an outdoor system. So now we have an outdoor hose, and that was important for our lawnmower repair business hobby thing that we got, because I needed to be able to wash lawnmowers with a pressure washer. Now our pump isn't big enough to run a gasoline powered washer, so we run an electric power washer. And I know it's not a lot of power. I think it's 1200 psi or something, but it's enough to wash lawnmowers. That's all we need for it in the truck. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there is a use for those high-powered 3000 psi gasoline pressure washers, but I don't need one. The problem is that it uses so much water, like 3 gallons a minute, 4 gallons a minute, that the RV pump can't keep up with them. So you're constantly cycling it on and off. But with the electric one, I can just turn it on and wash. I don't have to shut it off. So I like that system a bit better. You know, one of the things that I always get, and I don't know why people watch my videos if they're not interested in off-grid, but I get people telling me how a regular life is easier, a modern life, a life of regular people, not off-grid people. It's easier because they don't have to go through all this work. If I need to go and, you know, whatever they say, go to the bathroom, I'll keep it clean. All I have to do is flush the toilet and walk away. I don't have to think about it. Or, you know, I have to go out and fill out the water tank. I just turn on the faucet and voila, I got a lot of water. Faucet full. And they're always bragging about how little work they have to do, and compared to me that I got to do all this work. I got to come out here every third day. I got to run a hose to a tank and turn the water on. Like watering your garden. I mean, it's really no big deal. I mean, I'm literally not doing anything. I'm sitting here watching the water. And now we have that wash machine. You know, Carolyn used to do laundry by hand, but now she has that wash machine. We don't even have to worry about laundry. Just on a sunny day, she starts up the laundry. So you got to keep an eye on the weather. But I just don't understand how everything's so much easier for people who live in a house. So my house was $5,000, your house is $500,000. Your electric bill is $200, my electric bill is $0. Your water bill is $100, $50, I don't know. I don't know what water goes for anymore. I know when I was buying water, it was about $80 a month. So I'm just gonna round that up to $100 because I really don't know. So we're at $300. And so let's just look at that. I'm not gonna look at the house, let's just look at water. I looked up the average wage of a Missouri worker, and it's $21 an hour. So I'm gonna make that 20 bucks an hour because it's easier math. So for every $100, you gotta work 5 hours. So in order to work enough to pay for your water and electric, you have to work 15 hours. Well, let's talk about how hard I have to work in comparison to you having to work. So about 9 o'clock, you know, every third day. So yeah, I guess, well, let's just look at it one day and then we'll talk about it per week. So every week, how many hours do I have to work? So I come out and I spend about 5 minutes. If I have to start the generator like this, which I normally don't have to, it's just like October is the only month I got to run the generator. But if I got to run the generator, I walk down there and it takes all 3 minutes to start the generator. I walk back up here, you know, maybe another minute. So we're at what, 4 minutes? And then I drag the hose over to the tank from here. I always hang it up over here. So I open the box up, I take the lid off, so there's another minute. I unscrew that and put it in there, and then I walk back over and I turn the well pump on because there's a little switch to well pump. So let's just call it 5 minutes. Make it easy because I think that's way too much time. So we're at 5 minutes. I go back inside and I sit down. In 15 minutes, I come back out and I hit that switch again. And I might do that 2 or 3 times, depending on how many loads of laundry Carolyn's got to do. So let's just call it 10 minutes. So I got to work 10 minutes every 3 days. So I'm just going to make this simple. We'll call it 20 minutes a week. 20 minutes a week compared to your 15 hours a week. Well, now the math is starting to get hard, and I would have to get a calculator to tell you how much more work you're doing for your electric and water than I am. So me coming out here, enjoying the fall colors, enjoying the weather, getting some exercise, walking them down the hill for 20 minutes a day, every third day I should say, compared to your 15 hours of work. So I do 20 minutes times 4 is an hour and 20 minutes a month. An hour and 20 minutes compared to your 15 hours a month. I get this in all of the different subjects. Firewood. I mean, firewood to me is so much easier than paying for your heat, your gas, your electric, your propane, whatever it is you're used to heat your house. I spent basically 2 summers, not full time, cutting up firewood for 15 years. So I don't even remember doing it. It wasn't even that painful. I mean, I remember doing it. I just don't remember it being a big deal. And we didn't work that hard at it. I cut down some firewood, or we go get it from someone, and it was free. It was always free firewood. We never paid for it. And we go get it from someone, bring it home, and we would split it. And we'd come out maybe 10 minutes at a time, split some. As soon as we started getting sweaty, we'd quit, come out later, do it again. Before you knew it, everything was done. 15 years. So, I mean, it just wasn't that complicated. Whereas, I don't know what heat cost is nowadays. I remember, maybe 20 years ago, it was at least $300 a month for electric heat, electric furnace, because that's what I was paying for a 800 square foot house. That's what it was, 800. I think it was 800 square feet. I was paying $300 a month. I can't imagine it's that cheap nowadays. I mean, back then that seemed expensive to us, but today I wouldn't imagine that's how so much money. But back then we were making 10, 15 bucks an hour. Now we're making 20. So, you know, you make a little bit more money. It's inflation. So, no, I don't see how life is so much more simple for you. I can't stand the idea of living in a tiny house. Well, my tiny house costs $5,000 and I don't owe anything on it. Today I got my tax bill for the county. So the truck was $180, which I just think is outrageous. And the house and the property was $44. That's all I have to pay. So people tell me all the time, you don't own your home. The county does. Taxes. Well, it's because you're doing it wrong. If you own a $500,000 home and your taxes are $5,000-$6,000 each year, you know, whatever it is, no, you can't afford it. I get that all. I mean, it just confuses me. If you can't afford the taxes, then you can't afford the house. It's part of the deal. It's just part of the bill. I live in a tiny house and I don't feel claustrophobic or anything. I love it. Carolyn and I get along great. And we don't complain about money ever, because we don't spend any. There's nothing to spend it on. So you can tell me how much easier your life is. I did your life. It's not easier. It's a nightmare. This is easier. This is happiness. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was working on something. So if I can inspire you to think about your situation so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.